In the Mexican mountains, there is this ancient species of corn that's twice as big as your average cob and has some crazy aerial roots. These roots drip a slime that could change the game for agriculture and finally put an end to all those toxic chemicals. The locals have been growing this mysterious maize for over 2,000 years, passing down the tradition from generation to generation. A scientist in Oaxaca heard about this supersized corn and decided to check it out. When he finally saw it, he couldn't believe his eyes. This crop was like something out of a myth, towering at 16 to 18 feet tall, with weird fingers sticking out from its stalks. And get this, those fingers were dripping with a thick, gooey slime that acted like a self-fertilizer. No more adding artificial fertilizers to the soil. It's a big deal because most cereal grains can't fix their own nitrogen levels. So farmers have to douse them in nitrogen-rich fertilizers. Not only is this bad for the environment, but it's also expensive. But with this new corn slime, we might be able to solve a systemic problem in our food sources. It's like a biological hack that could revolutionize agriculture as we know it. The locals call this super plant oloton corn. By the way, it was basically a secret to the rest of Mexico until the 80s. It took another 30 years for a team of researchers to study this super cool maize. They knew they needed the community's help, so they built a lab right where the locals could pitch in. The corn secretes a slime that has bacteria that can convert atmospheric nitrogen into a form the plant can absorb. It means it can draw 80% of its nitrogen from the air. Basically, the holy grail of agriculture. But of course, some people had to ruin the fun by arguing over who owns the rights to this magical corn. It's called biopiracy, and it's not cool. The indigenous people who have been taking care of this crop for centuries are saying, "Hey, this isn't just a crop, it's part of our culture and heritage." Unfortunately, the oloton corn isn't being used yet because it can't keep up with modern industrial standards. But scientists are working on crossbreeding it with other varieties to see if they can get the best of both worlds. They've already cut growing time in half and increased nitrogen absorption to 40%. But they estimate it'll take a few more generations to stabilize a hybrid corn. Imagine if we could use atmospheric nitrogen for other cereal grains, like rice or wheat. That would be huge for reducing artificial fertilizers that harm our environment. It's crazy to think that a little-known maize from a misty mountain in Mexico could potentially solve world hunger. It just goes to show that diversity is essential to our survival. Speaking of plants that can help us survive in the future, did you know that Mars might be the perfect place for leafy green vegetables to grow? The soil there is packed with iron, which means our favorite greens could thrive. And with Earth's future looking a little uncertain, it's not a bad idea to start thinking about other planets we could live on. Unfortunately, most planets are too hot to sustain life. Seriously, Venus can get up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hotter than metal melts. But Mars is different. Even though it's a cold desert now, billions of years ago it was covered in water and maybe even life. Scientists are already studying which plants could grow on Martian soil. And it turns out that lettuce, onions, kale, peas, garlic, and even dandelions, yep, those weeds in your backyard, could all potentially survive there. Spinach is another great option thanks to all that iron in the soil. Who knows, maybe one day we'll all be snacking on Martian microgreens in case oloton corn can't cover all our needs. One more super plant that can help us in the future is bamboo. And while other countries like China, Japan, the Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia are all about chowing down on those delicious bamboo shoots, they're also a local fave here in the islands. In Bangladesh, they even have a traditional dish that's made with bamboo. No wonder they call it the king of vegetables. It's delicious and packed with health benefits. Plus, just half a cup has 11% of your daily potassium needs. If you're lucky enough to find fresh bamboo shoots, look for ones that are firm and heavy with a wide base. And don't let them turn green. That means they've been out in the sun too long and will taste bitter. If you're feeling adventurous, you can even harvest your own shoots, let's say in Hawaii. But bamboo is not only about food. It boasts a lot of cool things. It's the fastest growing plant on Earth. Some types of bamboo can grow over a few feet in just one day. More than an inch every hour, people! Bamboo is also totally sustainable and renewable because it spreads like wildfire. A bamboo forest grows way faster than a tree forest, so it's basically the superhero of the plant kingdom. Now, some folks say that bamboo can produce up to 35% more oxygen than a bunch of trees put together. Oh, and get this! Bamboo can replace wood in almost anything you can think of. Seriously, there are thousands of bamboo products out there that are just as good as their wooden counterparts. We're talking paper and pulp products, flooring, musical instruments, furniture, construction materials, you name it, bamboo's got it covered. On to some serious stuff. According to British researchers, we're barely scratching the surface of what plants can do for us. First up, we've got super plants. Did you know that the veggies on your plate were once just regular old crops? But out in the wild, there are some seriously tough plants that have developed resistance to all sorts of pests and diseases. Plant breeders are working to crossbreed these wild crops with our domesticated ones, making them just as resilient while still giving us all the benefits we love. It's a global effort, with countries like Brazil, China, and India leading the charge. And with the world population set to hit over 9 billion, these super plants could be a total lifesaver. Next on the list, medicinal plants. We've known for ages that plants can heal us, but are we really making the most of it? There are over 28,000 plant species that have medicinal uses, but less than 16% of them are actually being used in medicine. That's crazy! The industry is worth billions, and countries like Germany are already embracing herbal remedies. But we need to be careful. There are plenty of dodgy products out there that could do more harm than good. Then we have bananas on steroids. Okay, not really. But did you know that we could actually make bananas bigger and better? By tweaking their genes. Don't worry, it's all safe and above board. Scientists can create bananas that are resistant to disease and pests and can even grow in harsher climates. That means more food for everyone. Last but not least, it turns out that the flammability of plants is super important when it comes to preventing wildfires and all the damage they can cause. But don't worry, fire is actually a natural process in some ecosystems. The scientists are on a mission to identify plant families that can withstand fires and create landscapes that are more resilient. These plants could even be used as natural fire breaks, saving valuable resources. Now meet Cinchona. Not your typical food plant, but it's got some serious game. This tree bark is the secret ingredient to making quinine, which is used to cure malaria. And get this, it was actually the Quechua people of Peru who schooled the newcomers on how to use it. There are some wild stories about Cinchona out there. Like, have you heard about the sick lions chewing on the bark? Or the febrile lion that drank from a pond with Cinchona bark and was instantly cured? But let's be real, these legends are probably just people trying to make an already cool story even cooler. Anyway, Cinchona is a hero, but not all the heroes wear capes.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.